Enroll your child for the manifested e-learning platform and see their grades grow tremendously. These videos can be downloaded to a laptop for offline viewing or viewed from a smartphone in a cost-friendly format.
How are you, learners? Welcome to our today's science lesson. I'm going to introduce a new topic which is known as food and nutrition. Learners, welcome to the lesson. The subject is science, and we are going to study food and what? And nutrition. Food and nutrition. This is a new topic. Food and nutrition. Food and nutrition. Now, learners, in your previous classes, you learned about food nutrients. You also studied the components of a balanced diet. Okay? Food nutrients, you learned about food nutrients and also the components of a balanced diet. You learned what constitutes a balanced diet. For you to have a balanced diet, what kind of food are you supposed to eat? That's what we learned in our previous classes. In this topic, Standard 6 learners, the topic food and nutrition, we are going to learn 5 things. Number 1, we will define food preservation. Learners, in this topic we are going to learn about food preservation. Then we will give reasons why it's important to preserve food. We will study the methods of preserving food, learners, and in studying the methods, we look at the traditional methods and the modern methods of doing what? Of preserving food. Then we will learn proper food storage. Proper food storage. That is what we will cover in this topic. So learners, I want you to make sure you have an exercise book and a pen so that when I'm writing notes, you also write your notes. When you come to this class, you need to participate. You need to participate. All right? Don't just observe. Don't just watch. But make sure you listen and you also write down. Now, learners, I know you have experienced or you've seen food that has become bad. Learners, food can do what? Can become bad if it is attacked by what we call germs. Germs are very small organisms. They are very small animals that cannot be seen with our naked eyes. These small animals, when they attack food, that food goes bad. Germs make food to get spoiled or sometimes even get rotten. When you buy, for example, milk in the morning and you pour it in a glass, then you don't use that milk for 1 day or 3 days. When you buy fresh milk, then when you come after 2 days, learners, you will notice that that milk has done what? Has gone bad, has spoiled, and such food is not good for use. Rotten food is not good because it can cause what? It can cause diseases. So that's why, learners, we want to study food preservation. Under food and nutrition, we are going to study food preservation. Food preservation. we need to learn how to preserve food. Because if you don't preserve food, then that food will go bad. That food will get rotten. And when that food gets rotten, it's not good because it can cause what? Diseases. So learners, what do we mean by food preservation? Food preservation, learners, is simply preventing food from going bad. Food preservation means preventing food from going bad. Now, learners, to prevent food from going bad, we have to take good care of it. And this can be done by storing and handling the food properly. Learners, storing, need to store it and also handle it properly. Now, the process of storing and handling food properly so as to stop or to slow down its spoilage is what we are calling food preservation. Learners, have you understood? I'm going to repeat. The process of storing and handling food properly. So I want you to write down the process of storing and doing what? And handling food properly. The process of storing and handling food properly so as to stop or slow down its spoilage, so as to stop or slow down its spoilage is what we are calling food preservation. It's called what? It's called my red pen. Food preservation. Learners. So, food preservation, learners, is the process of storing and handling food properly so as to stop or slow down its spoilage. So if I ask you, what is food preservation? What is food preservation? You can say, food preservation is the process of storing and handling food properly so as to stop or slow down its spoilage. Learners, so as to do what? To stop or slow down its spoilage. Or you can say, the process of storing and handling food properly so as to stop or slow down its spoilage is called food preservation. That's the meaning, learners. Or you can just say food preservation means preventing food from going bad. Right? You can just say that. Okay? It is the process of preventing food from going bad. You can also just give a short definition. You can say food preservation is the process of preventing food from going bad. It is the process of preventing food from getting spoiled. All right? Getting spoiled or going bad or going bad. Food that has gone bad is that food that is rotten. Is that food that has been attacked by germs, and that food is not good for consumption. So is that clear, learners? Are we together up to that point? We have defined food preservation. Now learners, some foods such as animal products can be preserved for a very short time, a very short period of time. Other foods like grains are things like beans, all right, groundnuts, maize, all right. Such foods can be preserved for a long time, long period of time. But animal products like meat, all right, like when you cook, say, eggs, those are animal products, learners. Or when you have things like milk. Milk is produced by animals, all right? Can be goat's milk, cow's milk, sheep's milk, camel milk. That such products can be preserved for a short period of time. Other foods like grains, learners. Grains like maize, you can take 1 year, 2 years without getting spoiled. So learners, it's good to understand that also. Okay? It's good to understand there are some foods that can be preserved for a long period of time, others a short period of time. So we want to answer the question, what are the reasons why we should preserve food? Reasons for doing what? For preserving food. We want to answer the question, reasons for, what are the reasons for preserving food? Reasons for preserving food. Why should we preserve food? But by preserving means why should we prevent food from going bad or from getting spoiled? That's the question we want to answer. We want to give reasons for preserving food. We want to give reasons for preventing food from getting spoiled. Learners, what do you think? Give me a reason. Just say it. Give me one reason, please. Just say it. Learners, one reason is to prevent it from being spoiled. One reason is to prevent food. One reason, learners, is to do what? One is to prevent food from going bad or getting spoiled. We preserve food so that that food is not spoiled. Number 2. Please write down that point, then put full stop. Okay? Write the sentence, then put full stop. We preserve food so that that food will not get spoiled. Number 2 is to reduce food wastage. To reduce food wastage. To reduce what? Food wastage when there is plenty. To reduce food wastage when there is plenty. For example, when you have harvested food. Okay? You've harvested, say, milk. You have harvested milk, say, 10 liters. And you only need 1 liter in a day. So that means you have excess milk. So instead of wasting it through spoilage, because you said milk is an animal product. If you keep your milk in your house without preserving it, then that milk will get spoiled. So we preserve food to reduce food wastage when there is plenty. It may also be like, say, grains. When you harvest beans, then it's good to, one way is just dry the beans so that you can stay longer. But if you don't dry the beans, they may spoil within a very short time. So there are times when there is plenty of food, and sometimes we are not careful to preserve the food, to use it when there is no food. Because learners in life, you can sometimes not always have food. There is time to have food and there is time not to have food. The time to have food is when you are harvesting. But after you've harvested, it also takes a longer period again for you to harvest another time. So when you harvest, it's good to do what? To preserve, so that when you are not harvesting, you can use that food until you harvest again. Learners. Okay? I think I've said a point. That one, those of you live in rural areas, I think you understand much easier this point. Because when you stay in rural areas the way I do, I was born in rural areas and I grew in rural area. Learners, we used to harvest maize twice a year, okay? Twice. So during harvest time, we could harvest the food. Then we used to preserve that food so that we never lacked food throughout the year, because we had done what? We had preserved the food when there was plenty during harvest time. All right? What are we discussing? We are giving reasons for preserving food. All right? Number 3, the third reason, learners, is to allow food to be transported from one place to another without going bad. To allow food to be transported from one place to another without getting bad or getting spoiled. Without doing what? Without getting bad. Without getting bad, or without going bad. Let me use the word going. It sounds better. The word going. Without going bad. Now, learners, sometimes there may be need to transport food from where it is harvested to where it's needed. Especially those farmers who are doing what we call commercial farming. Commercial farmers, learners, are these farmers who plant food not for their own consumption, but they plant food so that they can transport the food to the market, all right, to where the food can be bought. Okay? So if you're harvesting food that can easily go bad, like say tomatoes are vegetables and they can easily go bad, all right? So learners, if a farmer harvests tomatoes, then there may be need to do what? To preserve the food so that the farmer can transport the food from point A, from the farm to the market. Okay, so learners, we preserve food so that that food can be transported from one place to another without going bad. Without doing what? Without getting spoiled. Learners, that is a point, is it? I've made up another point. I've given another reason, the third reason. Then number 4, learners, I can say that we preserve food, right? Because seasonal foods are, we have these foods that we are calling seasonal foods. Seasonal foods. Learners, seasonal foods are preserved so as to make them available when out of season. Seasonal foods are preserved. Seasonal food are preserved so as to make them available when they are out of season. Number 4, learners, write down. Write it down, write it down, write the point down. Number 4, seasonal foods are preserved so as to make them available. To make them available when out of season. Learners, so as to make them available when out of season. Learners, there are some foods which grow in seasons. For example, in a year, there are these foods that are harvested, are grown and harvested after a period of time. I gave an example of maize, which we plant from where I was born. Learners, I was born somewhere. So maize, learners, we used to, and we still do it, we used to plant and harvest maize a given month. So that is seasonal, because after we have harvested maize in April or May, April and May, then we'll wait again to harvest in December. So you see, maize is a seasonal crop. Maize is seasonal food. So there was need for us to do what? To preserve the food, because we harvest in May or in April. And you see, we take maize every day. Maize is a staple food. We eat it when the maize is in season and out of season. So for us to take maize when the maize is out of season, then we do what? We preserve. And I know some of you don't grow maize. You also have some foods which you take every day or almost every day, which you need to have in your house. So when you need that food, learners, if you are to take food throughout the year, then that means when that food is in season, when that food is available, when that food has been harvested, then there is need to do what? To preserve it so as to make the food available when out of season. So learners, these are 4 reasons. How many reasons? 4 reasons why food should be preserved. Number 1, I've said that food should be preserved to prevent it from getting spoiled. Number 1. Number 2, to reduce food wastage when there is plenty. Number 3, to allow food to be transported from one place to another without getting spoiled. Number 4, seasonal foods are preserved so as to make them available when out of season. Then in this lesson again, learners, we defined food preservation. We said food preservation is a process of preventing food from getting spoiled or going bad. We also defined it as the process of storing and handling food so as to stop or slow down its spoilage. And that will mark the end of our today's lesson. If you have any question, learners, please don't shy away from asking questions. Go to the website. Below this video, there is a comment section where you can ask your question. So before we close the lesson, I'm going to give you some questions for your revision. So write down the questions. I have 2 questions. 2 questions, learners. Question 1, what is food preservation? Number 2, give 4 reasons why food should be preserved. When answering the questions, learners, make sure your exercise book is closed. Try and answer the question from your memory. That way you will know whether you can recall what you have learned or not. So if you are unable to answer from memory, then you can check from your notes. After checking from your notes, then you close your notes and try and see if you can answer without referring to your notes. So when answering the question, please don't copy. Because if you get it wrong, no one is going to cane you. No, we want you to learn so that you can remember what you are learning. And one way to learn is to do what? To write answers without copying from the notes. So just try and answer the question. If you can remember 2 points, it's all right. If you can remember only 1, it's still okay. If you cannot remember anything, learners, then that's fine. Just check, open your book and check. Read again the notes. After reading the notes, close the notes, close the exercise book, then go to the question. Try to answer from your memory. All right? That's how I do it, so that I can remember what I have read. What I'm telling you is what I also do. Okay? Because that is how we do what? That's how we learn. Thank you for attending our today's lesson. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for choosing to study with us. For more information, you can call us on 0724 173845.